Let's talk parts. Yeah, that corner of the dealership most people don't look at until there's a fire. Parts Edge helps you clean up that mess. Smarter inventory, better margins, and no more guessing games. It's like giving your parts manager a crystal ball, except this one actually works. Spiffy. You can manage your mobile appointments, optimize your service routes, track inventory, and process payments, all with Spiffy, and you can learn more at spiffy.com. You ever wish you could inspect every car like a tech with X-ray vision? UVI is like an MRI for your car. UVI doesn't miss a thing. Scans the tires, the underbody, body panels, and wheels for scuffs in seconds, giving your team instant, actionable intel without slowing down the lane. That's not the future. That's UVI, and it's live in stores today.
Welcome to another edition of Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast. Today I am joined by Joe Malinowski, who is a top-tier fixed operations leader looking for his next opportunity. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Thanks for having me, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad that we connected via LinkedIn and talked a little bit, prior to the show. But you've been in fixed for over 17 years, and what brought you into the fixed automotive business, and what keeps you passionate about it today?
So it kind of like, how do I put this? Oh no, sorry about that. My computer just goofed.
You're good. We can cut that out. Don't worry about it.
Okay, cool. So let's see here. I have all my notes. Let me get these a little organized. So I started out as a true apprentice, right? And that's my honest my true background. I started an independent German shop in 2005, right out of high school. I took my local community college courses for automotive, and I really always liked working with my hands. From there, I graduated into actually full-time technician, working on vehicles. And I went to a couple of different locations. I tried a Japanese shop, and I went back to the original shop I started at because my friends had bought it. Made me the lead technician. Mm-hmm. And while I was there, we grew the business pretty big. I think we tripled it, it was an independent shop. And from there, we got so busy, but the revenue wasn't quite there for another staff member. Mm-hmm. I started pitching in, helping on the phones, making estimates. And I kind of realized I had a really good natural ability to talk to customers, explain things to them in an accurate way to different types of people, mm-hmm. different types of situations, help them plan their, what they need from their vehicle. And that's when I realized I really enjoyed it. Like, I love working on cars. I still work on cars. I have a car apart in my garage right now. It's very enjoyable for me. But it wasn't like a situation that I pushed for. It happened naturally. And they came to me and, made me the service writer / service manager of an independent shop. And they were going to teach me how to run the store, be in charge of everything. Yeah. And when I was in that seat, it clicked that it gave me I don't want to use the word power. It's not like an ego thing. It was like, hey, I'm in a position that I can really help people overall.
Yeah.
And make a difference. Not just for customers, but employees.
Yeah.
Teach them. I can teach, automotive technicians. I can have them be my apprentice. I could teach service writers. I was just starting out, so I had a lot to learn, but it was a bigger vision for me. I really was, it wasn't just about fixing cars. It was just like, wow, this is just the start. And then seeing what dealerships accomplish, just building those teams, helping people grow is probably my biggest motivator. And that was that moment I realized, like, man, this is going to be something for me. And I just stuck with it.
That's awesome. And, I think the old thought of technicians being gruff and unwilling or unable to have a conversation, or not wanting to have a conversation with the technician, I think that is so overblown and nowhere close to right. There's
Correct.
so many technicians out there that are so qualified, so able, and wanting to be able to take their knowledge and give it to a guest that they're fixing their car. I mean, at the end of the day, the pride of being able to make the repair in the car leave better than it came in, comes from the technician. So
Correct.
I'm finding, as the business is changing and we want video MPIs and pictures and things of that nature, technicians are really, really good communicators and able to take that and the ability to fix a car, and it's a heck of a package. So I'm glad that you ended up finding it, because it's awesome, right? Being able to do those things.
Yeah, and when I had left that shop, it was a really hard decision for me because I remember I actually went back to school while I was working there for business management, and I never quite finished my degree. But that was where I was like, "Hey, I need to get some basics in. Let me go back to my local community college, do my adult nighttime class." This was in 2009, and
Mhm.
so I finished most of the business section. I did all the math and accounting and all that, and it taught me a lot, like very quickly. So real world experience and like bookside theory, right? Um, I feel pretty lucky to go that route. And from there, I had actually had a stint with, I kind of wanted to see the world, as you would say.
Sure.
I was young, I was 23, 20, no, 24 at the time. And I got an opportunity to go work with BG. And it wasn't a sales route rep. It was actually for their smart VMA system,
Yeah.
like their menu.
Great system.
And from that, I got, oh, go ahead.
Great system. I've
Yeah,
implemented it in several stores.
yeah, and the best part for me was I already knew the chemicals from using them,
Hmm.
and it's not a matter of saying that they're the best chemical. It's what I got to learn. I got a territory from Central Coast to Southern California, and they would just be like, "Hey, your job today is to go to the parts department, learn from the parts manager, and get all his parts entered for the Smart VMA." And so it just started off again like an apprenticeship type program. They really showed me the nuances of the job, but I got exposed to a massive amount of dealership life and culture and I mean all over the board. And once I had done that, like I kind of spread my wings that way, I guess.
Sure.
I was like, man, I got an opportunity to write service at an Audi store, and it was one of those things like walking away from a traveling job that you love. But I was like, man, I got to take this opportunity, and that's when it just took off for me. Everything clicked.
That's awesome. The VMA piece, I brought it into a few stores, and I think that it gets misrepresented a lot, right? Because like you said, I already knew the product, I know what it does, and believe in the service, and BG and some other chemical providers offer the same thing. But I think what gets left behind is what comes along with those services for the guest, and I don't think that as an industry we do a good enough job of saying, hey, if you're properly maintaining the vehicle and taking these products and doing these services on a regular basis, we can actually give you extended coverage for the life of the vehicle. And it's such a value add to the customer, because we all know, like, at the end of the day, those services, the customer doesn't feel anything different when they leave. But if they know that after they've left that they've properly maintained the vehicle, it's going to hopefully last longer. But if something does go wrong, now they have coverage. Is it worth the money that they spend?
Yeah, exactly. And then it also depends on like what their goal is with the car. Are they just the lease type customer? Okay, that's not the right person for everything, right? But somebody who wants to keep a car for a decade. Like I remember when BMW, and I'm not talking bad about them. I'm just saying, when they went to electric water pumps
Mhm.
inside of a sealed housing with coolant. And we started seeing that when we followed the severe service recommendations of changing it every 50,000 miles instead of the factory recommended 100, those customers were not getting coolant leaks.
Mhm.
They were not getting um, any coolant failures or water pump failures. Not that they didn't later, but that investment kept their car on the road for a longer
Oh
period
yeah.
of time.
Oh yeah.
And that's where you start seeing these things like you're learning. You're like, hey, it's not a matter of you have to do this, but I promise you, myself, I change all my fluids, everything more often than I need to on a severe schedule. I don't have oilies. I don't have these problems.
Yeah.
And I've seen it with my customers. They don't have issues.
Yeah. And that's being a true servant to your guest, right? It's about um, it's about giving the best level of service that you possibly can,
Correct.
and you know, doing those things just show the genuine care and compassion and transparency that you have for this business, right? And if we can pay that forward and have everybody doing that same, you know, having that same mindset, boy, what a different place it would be. And you've made a perfect point with qualify the customer, right? So anybody that's
Yep.
coming in to buy a car gets qualified, right? So what are you looking for? How long are you leasing, you buying, you doing this, whatever. I've been training for years with my advisors and me when I'm talking to a customer, qualify them. What are they doing with the vehicle? Are they leasing it? Are they, like you said, all those questions matter. If we qualify the customer, that gives us the best opportunity to be able to provide the best level of service and advice to each guest. So I applaud that for sure. It's that's upper echelon stuff that should be happening everywhere.
It really should, and it doesn't have to be complicated either. And like, I could probably make a whole podcast just about this particular part, but for me, it's really a matter of like, I think one of the things that the business is really just the industry as a whole that is kind of missing, I guess, is there's no system anymore to teach people to actually how to do the roles. And it's not just doing the role. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What
Mhm.
are the results? And how do you make money doing it? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for,
Right.
right? But we also do it because we like people. We like training people. We like watching people succeed. And we also like watching customers feel good about how they invest their money in their car.
100%.
But those nuances are a little bit, I just don't see it anymore,
Yeah.
right? We're teaching tasks, but we don't teach direction. We
Yeah.
teach skills, but there's no strategy. And here's your procedure, but where's your purpose behind it?
Right. What's the
And
why?
how does it look?
What's the why behind it all? You know, at the end of the day, and you know, when this was coming on, you were like, "Hey, I'm a millennial, but I have, you know, I'm not the best with electronics." But the fact of the matter is that we are not good at figuring out what the why is to drive the people that we're leading, right? So, you know, back in the day, it was money, right? That was the leading focus. Now, depending on who you're working with, they're working to make enough money to do the things that they want to do and in life and whatever it is. And maybe it's an extra week of vacation is what matters to them more than, you know, the financial
Yes,
and everything else. So, um,
100%.
you know, so I think it's important for us to understand each and every individual that we are working with as, you know, for me, partners, you know, partners on the dealer side with me on the vendor side now. What is the why? What are we trying to accomplish, and how do we get there together as a partnership? And same thing with, you know, the people that we lead as you know. My AE, you know, what drives him? You know, he's got two small kids. What drives him is being able to provide for his kids, but then also being available for them. You know, and
Correct. I
those
get that a lot.
yeah. So so I know you've been kind of looking for your next opportunity, and those opportunities are kind of plentiful where you are up in the Northwest, right? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the, it's super interesting for me because I grew up in the Southern California environment, right? And I'll be honest, I found it a little bit easier
Hmm.
there. In the Pacific Northwest, we have such a conglomeration of different corporations that really suck up a lot of talent, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Like we were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
You've got not just tech up here. I mean, we have one of the world's biggest manufacturers, Boeing, right? Yeah, they had that little hiccup for a little bit, but once they got roaring again, I mean, you've got that around here. You've got Picard. You've got three or four massive naval yards. So military up here is a big industry. Aerospace. There's so many things that are taking up blue collar trade type guys. The Pacific Northwest really struggles with, you know,
All right, we all know about warranty nightmares. Automotive Warranty Network Incorporated. If your warranty process still involves sticky notes, tribal knowledge, and late night claims rejections, you're leaving money on the table. Automotive Warranty Network Incorporated brings clarity, compliance, and cash flow to your warranty game. They speak fluent OEM, and they've got your back. Hey, I want to encourage you to take a visit over to our partner, Target Automotive, target.com. That is great until you're drowning in it. Target turns that chaos into clarity with dashboards that actually make sense. Fixed ops leaders finally get what they need: real time, drill down insights without the spreadsheet migraines. It's not just business intelligence, it's Target.
Having enough talent
Mhm.
in the area. And in certain areas, if you were to come here, you would find that there's almost this no man's land in the middle of Seattle and the east side of Bellevue. Once you go north, south, massive opportunity. So, and traffic, even though that still exists, it's not what it is in California,
Sure.
especially so. Um, California, you'd go and you'd have a line of guys ready to come work at the Audi store because that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
Here, I actually found more people just find a job and stick to it for 15 years. That's a little bit of a different environment I had to get used to.
Yeah.
Finding quality guys, and it's definitely a challenge up here. It's not the worst thing. I think a lot of people are also moving here, so you're getting some of those cross-state cultures coming back in here,
Hmm.
who still love automotive and still want to do it, but just with all the industry up here, it can be a challenge,
Yeah.
right?
Sure. And so, do you find that do you find now that you're looking at some of those other opportunities to broaden your scope? Because like Boeing, right? They're still repairing things. It's still a fixed ops type of world, even though it's a different a different machine. But when you talk about the blue collar or um, I mean, we face that across the nation, right? I mean, it's a problem across the nation. I think it's worse in different areas. Where it becomes more of a challenge for you is that there's more opportunity for blue collar positions there, and just not enough people in the market to be able to get them. So you're having to farm them or entice them into the area, right?
Yeah, correct. Or like being creative. So like so to answer your first question, yeah, I am looking at different areas, different environments, because there's a lot of construction type companies that require operations roles. When you get something specialized like HVAC, I can understand they want somebody. Hey, you're on site, you got to have specific knowledge about HVAC.
Sure.
But if there's other industries, drilling, shoring, whatever it is, those operations roles, especially with a mechanical aptitude and like people skills,
Mhm.
that all transfers, right? Um, so it's an important thing. And then here's another challenging part. I actually had a technician leave because he went to a different industry, and we're still friends. He still talks with me. He asks for my advice on things. He's a little bit younger than me. He's about 10 years younger. Just got married. Always picks my brain on stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I'm talking to him, and just the way the industry works is it's I don't want to say it's so unique. It's so different. He's like, yeah, if we finish a job and we're 4 hours in and we have nothing to do for the day, we go home, but we're still paid for 8, right? Because it's just paid by job.
Yeah.
And versus like somebody in automotive who may need to be on site from 7:30 to 5:30. And then you compare his benefits and stuff. And I'm like, well, how do I compete with that? Right. Um, most automotive places maybe 2-3 weeks because you do need to produce stuff.
Right.
But then these types of places maybe 4 or 5 weeks or more. Um, it's a dynamic market to really kind of overcome some of the things I've done. Um, the place that I worked for up here, actually, some of the guys who were very efficient were on 410s,
Okay.
and some had a rotating schedule, some like the fixed schedule, and we still gave them time off. But they're still working their 40 hours a week,
Right.
right? But when you look at how much more days off they had, I think it was equal to 10 and a half weeks a year
Yeah.
at that schedule, but they were still producing the same amount of work.
Yeah. We had a schedule like that when I was working my way up as an advisor and then drive manager. And then when you go back into department head role, you go back to a 5 or 6 day week. And that's kind of how it was. But up through, the drive manager role, we were 4 days on, 4 days off. A little different. We had 14s and we called Sundays a half day at 10. But the thing with that was we worked less than a school teacher. And but what that encourages is even though you have that time off, you have folks that would want to either cash it out or you only had a few that would actually take the time or maybe they did a 2 week vacation or something like that once in a while.
Yeah.
So it made it so that even though they were there less, they were actually not using all the time that they had available to them and they were producing more because they were fresh more. That rest, and especially for a technician, that rest and rejuvenation is amazing.
Yes.
And for me, growing up into the leadership position and being a drive manager, those 4 days are a grind, right? It's a mental challenge, and maybe you had a bad week where there were a bunch of heat cases, or you had some challenging employees that were just challenging. But having those 4 days to just be away and completely reset, when you come back, you're excited to go to work. And I noticed that was a big thing. So yeah, that's an awesome piece that you can add to entice people in.
And that's a big part of it is like it's not a matter of what the challenge is, it's how do you overcome it and like per person, right?
Hmm.
How do you if you need to get somebody you need to get let's say you have a certain technician or whatever, you want to get more out of them, what drives them, what motivates
Yeah,
them, what's important, and that's where things like PI index, all those things really help you understand who that person is. um, and also understanding like, hey, I talked to A+ level tech, like Michael Jordan level, I'm not going to get 15% more from him,
yeah,
right? But maybe I could use him to get more percentage from other guys. And
absolutely.
in return, what would that do?
Yeah,
So that's the big fun part for me is like, I like puzzles. I like that stuff is like, how do I achieve this with the pieces I have?
I love it. So do you find now with all the technology changing and AI coming into play, and I'm a very analytical person, data driven. I watch a lot of those things to be able to help me determine where I can gain more performance. Like you said, are you finding that you're using any of these tools now to be able to help you even in your job search? Are you going through and role playing with Chad or anything like that where it's actually helping you and giving you an advantage?
Yeah, I do. I don't have it write things for me because you're in a leadership role. I think we're all kind of a similar personality. We want stuff a certain way
Yeah,
to some degree. So I'll usually give myself prompts of what I think I'm going to be asked, speak verbally from it because I speak better from the top of my head than
yeah,
thinking about what I write.
yeah,
And then I will say, hey, can you make this into something that's, readable? Um, but here's all my thoughts and stuff. I use it usually as tools to organize things.
yeah,
Same thing with customers. At the independent level, whether if I had to jump in and do some inspections on a car or whatever, or give a customer a breakdown of like, hey, you asked me for a complete inspection. It's a lot of information. I'll verbally speak it, ask AI to organize it into, here's the overall,
yeah.
here's your must do's, whatever, depending on your goals.
Hmm.
And that part speeds it up, right? Will I trust it to do it itself? Absolutely not.
Eventually, I think maybe we get a
It
little
will.
more trusting of it, but I want so I'm just a guy that came out of high school, came into it, didn't do the college thing, so um, I can verbalize and speak, and sometimes the writing doesn't match what my thoughts are, like you said,
Correct.
and so it's nice to be able to have a full conversation saying this is what I'm trying to accomplish. Can you help me make it make sense to somebody that's going to read this, and then read it through? And you hear people all the time saying that you're going to become dependent and it's going to make you less smart and it's going to do this or whatever. I think it's the opposite because it's making me think about how I want to tell it what I want, and then I have to read it through, and I'm like, oh wow, I would have never worded it that way or whatever. You
and
can't,
you absorb it.
yeah, I mean, you can't set it and forget it, and um, it's just it's not the way it goes. But I don't want to sound completely nerdy or out of control, but driving home after a rough day, being able to say, hey, these things, like just pulling it up because my wife doesn't want to listen to this. She wants me to come home and be in a good mood and listen to her day, right? So
Yeah.
I talk to my chat and say, hey, I had these things happen. What could I have done differently to get it done? And I don't type a lot into it. The verbalization, I like that, Joe. I think it's helpful. So do you think that adding tech or an AI piece or whatever, do you think that it's beneficial and almost at this point imperative that fixed operations or dealerships or independents are using some form of it?
Yes, I do, but it has to be a specific way. It's a powerful tool,
Yeah,
and I hope I would love to see it used to enhance what technicians, advisors, admins,
absolutely.
etc. do, than trying to just replace the human element. Because we all know there's people that they own a business or like on a larger corporation scale, they just see a number and their controller goes, "Yeah, we're doing that," and I'm like, "Hold on, you still got to make it people."
Yeah.
Um, and just like if you look outside automotive, we're a service industry.
Hmm.
When these other companies, hotels, Apple, Amazon, whatever it is, other customer centric industries evolve, then our customers are going to expect the same from
Yeah.
us. It's just going to be worldwide. And I do think the implementation is helpful because let's say you get a technician who's incredibly intelligent, can't talk to people. He's just that type of guy, but he knows how to verbalize it in a run on sentence.
Yeah.
If that's built into the program and it can organize it in bullet points,
Yeah.
awesome.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think that's another thing that, from a video standpoint, we're asking technicians that are uncomfortable to do something that they're completely uncomfortable with, right? They don't want to be on camera. Not that they're on it, but their voices, right? Um,
Mhm.
I've actually worked into, okay, well, let's create a bot for you that you can do exactly that. Tell them what's wrong with the car and let chat or whatever function do
Correct.
it. But one thing with me and the Fixed Ops Mastermind team and a lot of people in our network have that same mindset of AI is not to replace anybody. It's to enhance us in our ability to do what we do well, and the things that we do poorly to make us better at it, but be able to do it more efficiently. You'll never hear me say that AI should replace anybody because that's not what's going to happen. What will happen though is the people that continue to avoid it and be afraid of it and not try and figure out how it works, those are the people that are going to be replaced. It's never going to replace the people that are using it because they're becoming better. They're becoming stronger, whether it's communicating or staying more organized or whatever it may be. But you're right. I mean, automotive forever has been 10 to 15 years, if not more, behind everybody else as they're coming up. I think AI and these new things that are out there that we're able to implement into our tools. I mean, we have it at Tech Wall, and there's AI behind it to help support the staff. The reality is it's just there we have an ability now to really bump up automotive into the same playing level because maybe in the Northwest people don't want to come and wrench in stores because Boeing is so much more advanced or the HVAC systems. I don't know. I've only been in this industry, but maybe you can elaborate on that. But is it harder to come work with us because we're so far behind, and it's easier to work with them, or what are your thoughts?
No, I don't think it's that. I think as an industry as a whole, I think the some people may disagree. I don't know. And it's not a matter of like not preaching to people to work hard and earn and do their part, right? But I think the biggest barrier is we're behind how other industries treat and offer things to their employees,
Sure.
right? So the technology part, I think, will naturally come. Like I've always used it. Like if I write up a customer, right?
Yeah.
The first thing I'm going to always ask them somewhere in that question of small talk is, what do they usually do for work?
Yeah.
Because maybe they're a teacher,
Hmm.
and if they're a kindergarten teacher or a physics professor or an engineer, I'm going to explain what happens with their car completely differently,
Sure.
right? Now, that being said, with the AI part, I think what people are really seeing, I mean, let's be honest, it's the hot topic of the internet right now in
Oh
our
yeah.
industry, is what the Ford CEO said, right? That everybody, I can't, there's not one page I follow that has not commented on that. And I think we all kind of feel the same. It's not just technicians, right? But as an industry, like, how do we treat our people
Hmm.
and what do we provide for them with the money that they make
Yeah.
for the company, right? Um, I think the AI, like you said, is going to be the people that are going to excel are going to go, cool, this doesn't have to be this big complicated thing. I'm going to use this tool to enhance what I can do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny.
But what company values me the most?
Yeah. And I think it's coming down to that now is more, I've said for years that, I mean, I'm wearing a generic shirt today, but when I put that jersey over my head, kind of like being a professional sports player, I want to have pride for who I'm going to represent today. And, who's going to give us that opportunity to do that, in the best way out there. Vacation time benefits. How do we make them stronger? How do we find a solution that, just makes our teams have an easier life? Um, you know, Folks are still doing some form of a pension in some way, shape, or form, or maybe a heavier match in 401k. And I think we got into this whole thing of how much gross can we get out of every single thing that comes in, and we didn't look at the true benefit of loyal employees creating loyal customers. Those two things together make a sustainable business that never goes away, because you always have a client base that's coming in that's willing to give you their hard-earned cash to take care of your people. And at the end of the day, there's plenty for everybody to be okay with, right? And you can take
Yeah.
care of your people.
Yeah, I think this is one of the few industries like blue collar, like, people talk about, I remember in high school, people are like, I'm going to be a doctor, this and that. I'm going to make this much money. And then I look at, some of the guys in these industries or other industries, and it's like, we don't do too far off from them. And I promise you that doctor that's making 220 grand a year, he's probably getting his butt kicked a little bit in the OR sometimes.
Yeah,
It's not all easy peasy. So I think people have to understand that jobs that pay a certain amount are going to require some time, right? But on the flip side, like you said, we've gotten really good as an industry at like posting leadership quotes, numbers, wins, and talking about how everything looks great on paper. And honestly, it is great. Like, to achieve some of those goals, I mean, that's why people play sports.
yeah,
That's why humans, I think, are natural creators. That's when people get bored, depressed, sad, or whatever you want to call it, is when we're not creating. We like to create.
yeah,
We like to make things. We're curious. But on a fixed ops side, when we do all those things and just focus on just that part,
mhm,
how long is that actually sustainable? And we never talk about longevity. We don't ask whether what we're building is actually a sustainable unit. Like, if I built something and I had to take 3 weeks off and it still performed without me, cool, I did my job,
yeah,
right? Um, and I mean, I get it. There's a lot more going on than automotive. The world's unpredictable. Economy's super weird. All kinds of things out of our control are in play right now. But what we control, what we can, is how are we going to structure this industry moving forward?
yeah,
And I don't think there's any one right answer. But in my opinion, I do kind of feel like we're kind of slowly killing ourselves to some degree. And not in a doom and gloom way, but more like, hey, we're not being honest about the direction we're heading. This model was built a very long time ago,
mhm,
and we talk about this technician shortage, but we're trying to apply something from 30, 40 years ago. And the truth is, the young techs are already leaving because they don't want to live in a SIDA system that wasn't designed for them.
right,
Um, I I've had multiple recent apprentices that I kind of always joke when I'm teaching guys. I'm like, your first couple weeks, I want you to go watch Karate Kid. I'm going to tell you to do something that's going to make no sense. I just want you to just repeat the action, and then you'll find out why the action was repeated. It's going to get applied somewhere. So I've had a couple guys recently that were fantastic, natural talent, but they couldn't cope with what the system was asking of them because of what it is, and they left. They went to other blue collar jobs, right? And it's not a matter of like I want something easier. I just want to be lazy. It's not that. It's I think it's tied into so many things like pay structure, etc. What do we offer people? How do we ask them to come to work to make money to live, but then they have the money, and then we never ask them how they actually want to live their life.
Right. Take the time to learn who they are and what drives them. But so I think that you mentioned you mentioned everybody talking about the Ford piece, and we obviously have said our piece on fixed, and there's some others out there that are a little bit more vocal, but um, I, I think that the OEMs have some play in it. I think that the dealerships have some play in it. I think the independents have some play in it.
Yep.
I think the lube shops and things of that nature. They also have some reason to be in there. Um, I don't think that we've done a good enough job of listening and figuring out what the
Yep.
best way to move forward is. Where um, we can have these guys. I mean, I'll tell you what, the one of the best dealer groups that I've ever worked for was up in the Northeast, the Bach organization, and we have. I still say we because I've been out of there since 2018 now, 2017. I still talk to so many people from the group that are either still there, retired from there, or whatever. But we've retired several people that are 40 years with that organization wrenching. And
That's a long
what
time.
did they do? They weren't the highest paying. They weren't the highest paying. They had a great schedule, a decent benefits package. They
Mhm.
did a bunch of events for the staff, variable and fixed. They made them feel valued, that they mattered. They had a good retirement plan and things of that nature. And um, it's changing, right? But that
It is.
model really worked, and people stayed there, even though they knew that they could have made more money in another store. But the requirements of making that more money,
Yeah. It's
not
it sometimes it's like that's great that you're doing that much more, but what does it really cost?
well, in reality, if you're making $100 an hour and you're turning 20 hours, but yet you're making $40 an hour and you're turning 100 hours, who's making more money? And who's happier about it? Let's put it that way.
Yes, 100%. And I think stores like what you're talking about, that ties into another missing piece in my opinion is the system is it's no longer teaching people how to actually do the role. Like it's not just, hey technician, you could flag this many hours, right? Or maybe the pay plan is different. Maybe, hey, we give you a set amount and a bonus structure, not one of these $1,500 a month guarantee places, but like, hey, here's a livable wage, and then here we'll build you up from here,
Yeah.
right? And not just technicians, all of them,
Yeah.
every single role. And nobody shows anyone how to work efficiently. I shouldn't say nobody. That's not right. I think we're just missing a big piece of people not being shown how to work efficiently with purpose, not how to structure their day so they're not drowning,
Yeah.
and also understand where their limits are and how to move past them. How to handle those frustrations, those bad days, those heat customers in a healthy way, or how to reset and move forward
Yeah.
so it doesn't go sideways all day.
Yeah.
And they don't learn how to use these systems in automotive industry. It's the dispatch process, the workflow, the advisor relationship, how everybody works together as a team, right? Parts, sales, and service. Those aren't separate, right? Yes, the
All one
service
unit.
side is, yeah, they are all one team.
All one unit.
We're constantly we're getting these good people that are good at the work but not good at surviving the environment, and then they burn out, they get frustrated, and they just walk away and they go do something else because they don't have any tools to operate with that clarity they need to show them that they can succeed in this and it's going to look the way they want.
So if you were, if tomorrow you became a leader at a dealership, an owner at a dealership, you bought a store, what do you do to attract the talent that you want? And not only do you attract them, but you get them to continually stay.
I think a big part of that is really being involved in your people's lives, right? um,
Yeah.
I think the main thing would be focusing and really showing the compensation and performance structure and then walking them through that, right? You know, I can't I can't tell you how many times I hear that's my car, that's my ticket, that's my gravy or what that's my customer. It's
Yeah.
like, no, it's not.
It's ours.
It's ours, right? And it's 2025 and we're still offering low base wages for guys, for advisors or technicians or warranty app, whatever it is, and it creates that my car, my RO, my sale culture, as I call it, and it burns people out. They get you want to really know the heartbeat of the industry, go into these different pages of like technicians, advisors, and stuff, and read the comments. And yes, there are always going to be complainers.
Yeah,
There's going to be
sure.
that's always going to exist, but I think we need more leaders. I would approach it more like myself. I would be like, hey, my focus is teamwork, but we structure pay like internal competition, right? I want to see more independent style compensation. Like there's a lot of us around here in the independent shops. There's a livable base wage. And I don't mean like 2, 3 grand a month, like significant. I mean, we're just going to be honest. Going back to technology,
Yeah.
there's people on TikTok Shop Live, right? There's all these other avenues that are actually real ways to make money now. Not just that, but so many things in social media.
Oh yeah.
They're real industries that people are comfortable going, hey, cool, I'm making 80 grand a year. This is my business. I'm not going to do anything else. I don't have to go anywhere, right? To give them that base wage and then show them how to excel beyond that would be my main focus, right? And it doesn't always have to be that they're automotive experts. Maybe they have transferable skills.
Yeah.
Like I remember I worked with a trainer years ago at Audi, and he gave me a piece of advice, and I used it, and it was great. He's like, it was an internal challenge between us, and I didn't use it at that store, but I used it later at the last role I was at, and I went and found people who were. It was for an advisor role, and I went into a couple of hotels and I had lunch, and just talking with people, I found a concierge that actually liked cars.
Yeah.
I gave him a job offer and he took it, and he was fantastic
Hmm.
because it was the right
And
personality match, right? But
yeah, and you were able to make them more
oh,
money, I
but
assume. Did I lose you?
oh yeah, there, yeah, I did cut out a little bit. Are you there?
And you were probably able to pay more money because although they're doing great on customer service and everything else, those industries are still at the lower end of the pay cycle, right?
Yeah. So
Like a hotel.
I was like, hey, you're gonna come here and still, make some more money, but I think that, and then that goes into the next thing. We need to hire for wiring. It's not just filling seats. Oh, somebody's
Yeah.
turning a wrench and producing.
Yeah. I mean, when I was still in store, I it was important to me that if I was interviewing somebody, I got to know who they were within
Correct.
what I was allowed to talk to them about, right? But I also wanted to know who I was and what our culture looked like, and then get an idea of what does this look like for you. I don't want you to come here and be unhappy. I want to make sure that you feel our culture fits your needs and vice versa. And really kind of lay it out. Okay, what is your game plan? All right, here's what you're going to need to do from day one to get there, and
Yeah.
I'm going to support you and figure out what we can do to actually get you to that. Um, I never hired somebody with the idea that they were going to come in and be gone in 6 months. Um, the longevity thing, the only time it gets talked about is if you're a quote unquote job hopper. Nobody asks the reason why you left those jobs. You left those jobs because something drove you to do that. They didn't hit the needs that you had, whether it's a career path, time off, like caring about my family, you're asking too much of me and not
Yeah.
supporting me and making me feel valued, whatever it may be. That's why people leave.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's not about money. But how often do you say, well, if you throw him another $5 an hour or $3 an hour, you think he stays? Maybe for a couple more months, and then he's going to do this again, like, or she, he or she is going to do it again, like. But in reality, like, if anybody ever threw me more money, I wasn't leaving for money per se. I was leaving because of a culture or a bad feel, and it wasn't accomplishing what I needed to do to be able to live my life. Throw all
Yeah.
the money you want
No,
at me. This isn't the right place. That's how I.
exactly. And I've seen both. Like, just like you said, acknowledging those lifestyle realities, like especially the younger generations that we want to come in and
Mhm.
work. They value time, they value balance and career path. Like I just saw a post from a local Pacific Northwest dealer group, the larger dealer group. I think it was Automotive, and they were at this hiring event, and it was it was so cool to see. They had two charts on the side, and one was a path to management, and they even kind of mapped out like timelines, not guaranteed, but just hey, this is what it could look like if
Yeah.
you're really proficient at this. They mapped out, and we're talking all the way to the top,
Wow.
almost into their corporate, and showing these people, hey, if you go into sales, this is what this looks like. Hey, if you go into service, this is what it looks like, and here's your paths to on the side of parts and warranty and admin, right? Or controller, office manager. There's
Mhm.
so many things, and I think I keep getting sucked back into automotive because there's so many good people in it, right? You know, not just me. My wife from automotive, her family's in it. I have so many friends in it. Um, there's a lot of opportunity here. We just have to show people that it exists in a reasonable fashion. And talking about like giving guys more money, I actually had an experience at the Audi store where I had a technician who was fantastic, kind of just a happy-go-lucky, kind of goofy guy, but he had multiple kids to support, and he busted his butt. And he came to me one day in my office, and he closes the door, and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm putting my resignation in." And I had a pretty close relationship with him because that is my day. My day is going to check in on everybody
Yeah.
all day, not to micromanage,
Hmm.
but to really see how they are doing,
Yeah.
right? How's John doing? How's Rigo doing? How's, whoever they are? I want to know, right? And how can I support them? But when he gave me his resignation letter, he knew my personality, and I just crumpled it up and threw it away. And I said, "No, you're not. Get back to work. We're not having this conversation right now. Give me to the end of the day. Who's trying to steal you and for how much?"
Yeah.
Right? And they were trying to take him for $5 more an hour, but his drive was going to go from 15 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. And so I was like, "Hey, why don't I do this?" And I talked with the GM at the time, and we ended up bumping him, I think, $4 an hour. And he was pretty much due for it because he was about to take his next certifications, anyways.
Yeah.
Uh, and so instead of, "Hey, I'm not going to match, but here's what I'll do. I'll bump you four. I'm going to give you some targets. We'll revisit for that extra dollar in
Mhm.
6 months when you get your certifications based off your production. And here's an extra, X amount of time off as part of your job contract." Oh my God. I think you went from flagging like 215 a month to like consistently when I think 6 months later he was doing 260, 270.
That's awesome.
And talk about a success story. I literally, he knew, he's like, "You're not going to let me leave, are you?" I'm like, "No, absolutely not."
Yeah.
So, and then that gets around. It's not a matter of, hey, getting a raise. It's like, hey, I tried to do something what I thought was better, and Joe walked me through a different situation that actually ended up working out more in my favor.
Yeah.
That also ties into just don't, we get so wrapped up in the day to day and all the stuff that we have to take care of, but you really need to see where people's at, where their pulse is. And not just my daily check-ins. I like to have like lunch with my guys at a smaller shop, independent. It's a lot easier.
Sure.
but be part of their team. Like they're working for you.
Right.
Be involved with them. Go have lunch with them,
Yeah.
right? Hey, grab a group of 4 guys. Hey, let's go to lunch, and you can mix it up. You can do all those things.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's super important.
I agree with you a million percent. I think it's, you know, how you handle that situation when somebody comes in to resign. They're not there because they want to be. They're there because somebody enticed them and showed them bright lights, or something different that you're not offering, right? So it starts off as, oh, I can make all this money, but the reality is what they're asking you is how much do you actually value me? Because it's not going to take all of this to get me there.
Mhm.
But you got to show that I actually matter to you, because these guys are willing to just throw this at me, but who knows what the result is going to be, right? The atmosphere is different. You're going to hate it in 30 days, whatever it may be. They're just asking, hey, how much do you value me? And
And that's a shame that people have to go to their leadership almost like a threat to get those
to get
results.
something right, and that's another issue with the industry. And we can blame just the OEMs, we can blame just the DPs, we can blame each other, we can blame everything. What we should be doing is getting together to be great together, right? So let's just listen.
Mhm.
Let's talk, let's figure out as an industry how we get better, and and work towards everybody just being out for the same thing. Right? Let's just take care
Yeah.
of each other as a humanity. And I know that sounds cliche, maybe, but I truly believe that the more people that I come into contact with in the LinkedIn network, and now being on the road and seeing different dealers, just talking to you, I mean, a week ago we didn't know each other, and now I feel like I know a bunch about your family. You know some stuff about mine, and where we've been and how we're getting there and what the plans are. And um, that's fun for me. That's more rewarding than any amount of money you can throw at me. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I want to make money and I want to live comfortably and all those other things. But you know what? At the end of the day, I want to be a good human. I want to be a good teammate. I want to be a good partner, a good support person for anybody that's out there that needs help. That
Yeah.
and you seem like in all of our conversations that is who you are.
100%. Like my management style, I always tell guys when I'm first interviewing them, I'm like, I'm going to be a little bit different than people you've worked for before.
Yeah,
I'm going to have incredible expectations. I will not be a micromanaging screwdriver. That's not my style, right? I'm going to say, hey, here's my rules. Here's what I want. Here's the things I want it to, here's how I want it to look like. I want you to do it my way for a little bit, and then you can make it your own, just as long as we're hitting these things,
stay in the parameters.
right? Those are your parameters.
That's it, man.
It doesn't, you don't have, and appearance, all that is important. But for me, like just my overall leadership style, even when I'm doing meetings, I'm not some long drawn out. Sometimes it's like, hey, right before lunch, 11:45, quick 15-minute meeting. I got two things to talk about. Any long questions, ask me after, right? It doesn't have to be these big drawn out 2 hour like mind numbing sessions
Yeah.
where everybody gets lost.
If,
And
if any of my previous employees are watching this, or folks that worked with me, I'm not the best at that. I am an emotional animal that I will get excited and harp up on whatever I'm talking about and completely lose track of time. And what to me thinks feels like 15 minutes, next thing I know, it's an hour. So I used to actually have somebody tell me, I'm going to tap my watch. You got to stop. And I'm like, all right, that works. Because
that's not a bad thing. So going back to technology. So like if I have just, hey, I'm gonna buy you guys lunch, whatever. We're gonna sit around real quick. I have a few things to talk about: the who, what, where, and why. Get to the point. Here's what I'm seeing. I'm not calling anyone out. This has to stop now. Okay? Because if it doesn't, I promise you it's going to explode in your face. And then that means it's in my face probably.
yeah,
And I don't have extra work because you didn't do your job.
right.
And we're to the point. I have found with technology, if I have something more long winded I need to say, we used to use Slack. And so I would basically write out what I want
Hmm.
and say, hey, here's all the meeting points we had today, or here's some expanded points on it. Here's what I'm trying to drive home.
Hmm.
everybody, I'm going to send it to you in this group message, and you just right below when you're done, I'll give you a week to do it. Write acknowledge.
Deal.
Cool. I know you read it. So when that doesn't happen and I have to come hold somebody accountable for something,
I gave
hey,
it
dude,
to
you
you.
told me. I don't understand. And then maybe it's more of like I didn't. I'll own if I didn't explain it to them the right way or whatever.
Yeah.
But after that, it's like, hey, man, it's in your court now.
Yeah.
And the other thing I tell guys is like, I am here to help you succeed. It's almost like you're here for our customers.
Hmm.
Technicians are here for the cars. The warranty admins are here to help get everything clean to the OEM manufacturer
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You guys are actually my customers. I'm here for you,
Right.
and I'm your service advisor, and I'm going to help guide you in your career as best as possible. And that includes if your career goals do no long they don't any yeah sorry getting tripped up no longer fit here, I will also walk you through the door. I don't believe in firing. If somebody you have to do something bad,
Yep.
like take a loaner car,
Yep.
which I had some over the weekend, and there were a few people that I've almost just like I was like, get out of my store right now. You're lucky we don't call the police.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if people quit, it's usually because it's quiet quitting,
Yeah.
right? And I don't. If you don't want somebody there, don't just drive them into the ground so they are miserable. Show them that this isn't working for both of you. And it's okay if they leave. Like, hey, maybe are you interested in something else or what is it? I just don't fit in, whatever it is.
How can I help?
Cool. Yeah. I had a guy that he started off in an independent shop who became one of my good friends. And I always joke about it, but he was just one of those guys that never pulled the trigger because he was afraid.
Yeah.
And so when we tried him out as an apprentice technician and he understood it, but it was like, I don't think he's ever going to get to the point where he will support himself
Hmm.
on it. We tried him as an advisor, not a people person in that way. He was like an internal people person.
Sure.
And then we put him in the parts role and he did great.
Yeah.
But I was like, hey, if you want to survive and thrive, you're going to have to go to a dealership, not an independent shop for parts. That's where the money is.
Yeah.
And he was reluctant about it and stuff. He's like, he kind of flirting with the idea of doing electrician, uh, specifically low voltage cable installation, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And he got an opportunity. He wasn't sure to take it. And so I called him in my office and I was like, hey, Kyle, I'm just letting you know, um, you've been talking about this. So in 30 days, you don't have a job, whether you have another one or you don't. It's not because I want you to leave, but I'm going to make you move
I'm
on.
going to force you to do it. Yeah.
And it's great because he makes twice as much money now. He just bought a house, and it's not because of me. He did all the work,
Yeah.
but it's just us recognizing when someone also doesn't fit. It's okay to help them move on,
He,
and
need,
then it's weirdness.
he needed to be told that it was okay
Yes,
and to not be fearful of change because, change is the scariest thing that we deal with. Right. So,
and it goes back to what you said about listening.
yeah.
I made sure I listened to him.
Yeah.
Not what can I get out of this guy? What is he actually telling me, and how can I help him?
Yeah. And you did. And he stays in contact and, those are the most rewarding things out there. If he was still there now, how happy would he be in that position and still thinking, hey, should I have tried this? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, kudos to you, man. I have a final question that takes us completely out of everything that
Oh,
we've been that we've been talking to the whole time. So, one thing that I'm always curious about is after just a crazy day, crazy hectic, and now you're going home to the family, and you got to get it all out of you before you get home. What'd you go to get rid of that hectic day and be ready to come home to the family?
when we didn't have kids,
Mhm.
hands down, it was physical activity, sports, workout, something.
Okay.
And for the most part, most of my life, I've always been into that stuff: bike riding, fitness, any of it. So that's what it was,
Okay.
right? Um, Now it's usually more. I'm gonna put on probably a certain album,
Okay.
depending on my mood,
Sure.
and just kind of listen to the music. Like I actually I like all kinds of music, but depending on what it is, it could be some rock and roll, classic rock, metal, or maybe that day is so stressful. I'm just like, I need to listen to some jazz. I can't. I need to check out, go into my nothing box for a
There you
moment
go.
on my drive home, and if it's been a pretty rough day, I may even just like wherever I'm at, I'll just go for a walk before I drive.
All right.
It's amazing the power of just physical movement
Yeah.
uh, to get that out, and because I don't want to bring it home. I've done it before,
Yeah.
right?
Me too. Me too.
And
More than I
I,
think.
yeah, I don't ever want to do that ever again. Especially having two little girls now, I'm like, no, that stops. Um, and like when I first got the role at Audi for the manager role, I was stressed more because I had to spend so much time there, not because they were forcing me. I had so much to learn that I was like,
Yeah.
cool, I'll be here 6 to 6.
Yeah.
That's okay. I was learning. There was so much that I was like, oh my God, I got to do that now. Oh my God, I got to do that now. But it was there's nothing that builds experience like seat time.
Yeah.
But I think part of us in this industry also needs to teach our younger guys or inexperienced guys, or maybe people who've been doing it a while, not just how to do the job, but maybe how to manage that stress, how to manage that. It's like, it's just work. Everyone works.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean your world's ending. That stays there. Tomorrow's a new day.
Yep. Regroup and do it again.
If you asked me when I was 25, completely different answer.
Yeah.
As you get a little older, you kind of kids teach you patience. You calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
you're breaking up a little bit.
you find
There, there
um,
you go.
you find as you get older and family and a spouse or and then kids, everything changes. So I definitely understand that. Man, this has been a phenomenal conversation, and I look forward to staying in contact with you for a good long time. I
Yeah, I
think
love that, Kyle. Thank you. Me
I
too.
think I think that there's definitely the right place for you, um, and you're going to find it. And if there's anything I can do to help assist in that, I definitely want to. But I really appreciate the time and what you brought to the podcast, and it's really shows what happens when you get together. Man, you can really be great together. So thanks for joining me, and I look
Thank
forward
you for having me.
I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's really nice to sit down and get this stuff out with somebody who has a like mind and just know that you're not alone in your thought process. There's more and more of us that really want to do well for other people, and it's
Absolutely.
been absolutely great.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Well, thank you again. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Have a good one.